Hello, how are you today, Misty?
I am doing well, thank you.
Thank you for joining me today for another I Do Affirm Affirmation Conversation. This is Misty Lakota, everyone, and we are here to talk about the affirmation Unbreakable today. Misty, you look so beautiful.
Thank you.
Hopefully the wind doesn't make my papers and everything else fly all over the place. So Misty is born in Pine Ridge, South Dakota, and she currently resides in Fort Carson, Colorado. What brought you from South Dakota to Colorado?
I think mainly my career as a federal employee and also the military. I've been in the federal service for about 21 years and then in the military for 14.
Wow. Okay, so you're smart. You're gonna get two checks, girl.
That's the goal.
Like when I grow up. Unfortunately, I didn't do them both simultaneously, so that's really awesome. You are a doctoral student and you're studying senior executive leadership, and I was giving you kudos and said that I could not wait to be able to call you Dr. Lakota. I think that is absolutely incredible and phenomenal, especially the fact that you already have two careers going on. So kudos to you, girl. That's phenomenal.
Thanks.
So I see that you redeployed from Afghanistan in 2021. Wow. Well, thank you for your service, first of all. And how was that deployment?
It was very long, very tiring. We had, I think, one day off the entire deployment. We worked up to maybe anywhere from 12 to 14 hours a day, and then we're going through the drawdown and the whole we're pushing out from Afghanistan, so there was a lot of that. And so we were, obviously I'm a 27 Delta, which is legal administrator, so we
you are 27, you are 270 Alpha.
Sorry.
27 Delta is paralegal. She was that before, likely, but she's a
270 Alpha. I apologize.
It's in our blood. We ain't got to apologize. We love y'all.
I was that before. So 270 Alpha. I'm sorry, and we were General Miller's legal team. So we had all the legal functions, and basically I was played two roles in a NATO aspect of it. I was a staff assistant, and then on the other side I was a legal administrator, senior legal administrator for the office there. So yeah, it was a lot. Every day we were busy every day. I never worked like that. I never worked so hard like that in my life.
Wow. Well, you are definitely no stranger to hard work, we can see. And you're Native American, and you're from the Oglala Lakota Sioux Tribe, right?
Yes, Oglala Lakota. Yes,
Sioux Tribe. That's amazing. So that's your tribal name. Correct. Yes. Okay. Yes. I'm learning. This is stuff obviously they should have taught me when I was in like elementary, middle, and high school, but of course they never did. But was there anyone in Afghanistan who was Native American by any chance? I'm curious.
Yes, there was a male enlisted soldier. He worked for the IT department. I believe he might have been Navajo. But that was like probably the only person that I encountered over there.
So, poor with limited resources on the Native American reservation. Some people would let the situation break them. How did you just learn to keep going, and how did that basically make you who you are as an adult?
So my great grandmother raised me, and her name is Nancy Weaselbear Lakota. Weaselbear was her father's name, and then she was married to my great grandfather ARE Lakota. So she raised me, and one of the being Native American, they give you like your Lakota name or whatnot, and so she named me Iglaktonkahewi, which means woman moves camp first. And she told me, she said, in your previous, and Native Americans believe in reincarnation and so forth. So she told me, before in my past life, that I was a great woman, and she saw me doing great things. So she told me that when just having a serious conversation, just a little kid. And so she planted that in my mind. Like, she'd tell me, one day you're gonna do work here. One day you're gonna do good things. And so she was a medicine woman. My great grandma was a medicine woman in our people, and so she kind of planted in my head as a little girl, and then so I just kind of took, obviously you rebel and you go through life, you go through your own things, but that kind of stuck with me. So in a sense, it was just like an internal little drive and a little voice. And then, my little brother was born, and then so we were 12 years apart. So it made me want to always take care of me and him, because my
Is this
great
the little
grandma is
brother
still
with the
alive.
big muscles?
Yeah. So she was like always telling us, like that, she really loved both of us, to always, take care of him and stuff like that. And then she died when I was 17. So tried really hard to, keep those in mind. So those two factors, I think, drove me to try really hard and like everything. Yeah.
Well, that goes to show people that the things that you say to kids when they're younger, things that you say to people, period, it does stick with them forever. So you definitely need to be careful with your words, good, bad,
Mm-hmm.
or indifferent. And that's what I try to tell my husband and my daughters, um, you know, biological dad. I'm just like, we can teach our children, whatever it is that we want them to do. But at the end of the day, they're adults and one day, and they're going to go out and they're going to do whatever they want. And we can't really control that. And we really can't blame ourselves for the decisions that they make, because they're going to do whatever. I feel like the best thing that we can do is just give them a conscience. Just teach them the right way. And when they're out there and they're making decisions, like you said, you have those things that your great grandmother taught you, and those things are in the back of your conscience all the time, and they kind of lead you in your life. And that's kind of what I feel about my 17-year-old. I'm like, she's going to make her own decisions because she's her own person. But if I know that I taught her to lead with her conscience, then I'm hoping that she makes the right decisions. Even if she makes the wrong one the first time, when she gathers herself and has to make that subsequent decision, it's the right one with me in mind.
Yeah.
So that's awesome. So what's your passion? What is your calling?
And so I think that with that, I think that just falling into, law enforcement in a sense, in trying to be, as I'm a survivor of domestic violence and stuff. And I think engaging with law enforcement, it was a negative experience. I guess it's kind of like re-victimized. I was re-victimized. So it was kind of traumatizing. And so I went into law enforcement because I wanted to serve people in my situation, or treat them, with dignity and respect. And so that kind of was the driving factor why I kind of fell into law enforcement. And I thought that if I went that route, it would in some way or form give back in a sense. And so I kind of fell into that in unfortunate circumstances. But then over time, I, kind of gradually fell in love with the profession, and, just, and I thinking about what my grandma said, and then realizing, talking to mentors and stuff in law enforcement, my other grandma, her name is Paulette Nancy Weaselbear, who's named after my great grandma, because my great grandma raised her, and then she went on to be a law enforcement officer. And then I came along later on. But anyway, she's sort of like my mentor, and just things that she did, it inspired me to be like her. And so I kind of started down that journey of, I wanted to stay in law enforcement. I wanted to be a protector in what they call a kichita, which means like warrior and protector of our tribe and our people. So it's a really noble and honorable position, and it's my passion. I feel really good about my journey, and really great that I'm contributing not only to society in a sense, but I'm also in a way protecting our people.
Well, I like how you refer to yourself as a survivor of domestic violence, vice a victim. Can you tell me why you chose that word over the other?
I think that you can't. I mean, there's being Native American. There's so many things that we encounter growing up on a reservation, poor, and all the. It's really hard to get out of and come out of that situation unscarred, unscathed, and we have a lot going against us. Being female, being Native American, growing up, in that type of environment, it's really hard. So to come out of it, with a lot of courage is, and so I've kind of had that growing up all along. Like I knew life was a struggle, and then I don't want to be a victim of my circumstance in any circumstance. Unfortunate things happen, and I can't, internalize all that, or take on that role, because it'll totally bring you down. It'll totally break you. I think that there's, reasons why we're put in certain circumstances, and it's either to learn, to grow, or to, become, unbreakable from those things, to show others, or to, be inspiration and hope for others in the same circumstances that, that you can overcome. So I don't want to, portray like I'm a victim, and of those circumstances, victim to unfortunate circumstances, and not learn the lesson from them, and understand like that's wrong. But yeah, I won't let it define me.
Love that. That was good. I caught on to that, and I just wanted to elaborate on that because I know that there are people who needed to hear that. So, other than that advice, if you could go up to one person and just give them a little bit of advice, what would you say to them?
I think, when we go through life and we talk about, our calling, as we said earlier, what it is that, we're meant to do. I think it's important to, like, what is your journey? What are you meant to do? What is your passion? I think when you start to kind of put those things together, and realize them, it helps you, really find, it helps you define your life, your goals, your journey. I think it's, even if I could sit down and tell my, 19-year-old self, like, stay the course, you're going right course. The, road ahead is going to be hard. It's just life, but always, remember not to internalize stuff. If I could go back and say, don't internalize everything, because it's gonna be, your downfall in the future. And another thing that I really talk about, and a strong strength of mine, is, I think, it's humility, in a sense, and just trying to teach or impart what it means to be humble, or what it means to have humility. A lot of people miss that. A lot of people don't get that. And so I think, if anything, it was just always to be humble in life, and walk in balance. As Native Americans always say, you should always walk in beauty and balance. And sometimes you're unbalanced, but it's figuring out which of those, areas that you're suffering in. It's important to try to work on that. So, yeah.
Wow. Well, you are awesome. I'm going to ask you this question, and I'm going to tell you real quick before I ask you this. I'm putting you on the list of mine. Okay, who is your inspiration? You're on my list.
So I think, my inspiration again is my grandmother, Paulette, Weasel Bear. She's a career law enforcement woman, and she's, a protector of our people. She's a, advocate for, our children, our victims. She's a really, really good person that has a lot of passion. She's really humble, really cares about everybody. And so just looking at the way she lives and carries out her life, and, she's a really, spiritual person. So, when I feel really weak at times, I do call her, and she's very, very spiritual, where she'll, like, pray, and she always makes it happen. 45 years old, she's always made it a habit to call me and sing to me, even though how old she is. Yeah. So she's definitely my inspiration. She's a strong woman that came from, our people, and we were both raised by my great grandmother. So, right now, she's definitely living, as far as living people go, she's my inspiration.
That's awesome. It looks like you came from a long line of unbreakable women, and I know your daughter, your beautiful daughter, is one of those unbreakable women as well.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much, Misty. I really appreciate you for taking the time out to inspire me and empower those who are watching this affirmation interview today. And thank you. Well, many blessings to you. And I know you're going to do well in your program. Let us know when you finish so we can give you kudos and shout outs and just keep doing what you're doing for not just your people, but for all people, and especially women. Appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Bye.
Appreciate it.
Hey, y'all. Thanks so much for tuning in to another I Do Affirm Affirmation Conversation. I hope that you enjoyed the conversation with Misty just as much as I did. Now, y'all know I enjoy the conversations with everybody that I bring up on here. If you're feeling breakable, remember, like Misty said, that you must find a way to persevere through all the barriers. You have to see obstacles as an opportunity for self-discovery. There is a blessing in the lesson, right? Don't just go through it, grow through it. All those things that you've probably heard before, those things are going to help you to be more of an unbreakable person. And don't catastrophize things and make them bigger than what they are. And if they are in fact big, because some of the things that we go through in life, they're huge, but don't ever make them bigger than you. You have to be bigger than your troubles. You have to take the wheel of responsibility over your life. Drive that train. And you have to be a realist. Now, I told you don't catastrophize, but don't minimize. Take every situation for face value. Accept that change and challenges are a part of life, and you have to win over them before they defeat you. And like I said before, and I will say again and again, you got this. You are unbreakable.